He's a hacker, an entrepreneur, a researcher, a spaceship builder and a professional mosquito assassin, Mr. Pablos Holman. He's consulting worldwide on invention, making wild ideas a bit more practical. He lives in a future where cars have system updates, front doors have smart locks and credit cards can't be are secure. And he lives in a world where we can print food. Mr. Holman.
Hey there.
Welcome. Well, you call yourself a hacker. Are hackers the ultimate inventors?
Well, I think hackers make for good inventors because they're good at discovering what's possible with every new technology, every new capability we get from science, every new chip, every new sensor is a reason to kind of reimagine everything humans have ever done. And so hackers don't ever read the directions, so they just try everything. And they're really good for that.
Yeah. You still have to do your TED Talk. You will be on stage later on, so it's a big honor to have you here. We'll get a glimpse of what you're going to talk about. But first, let me introduce you with a little clip we found of you on YouTube. Let's take a look.
One of the other things we came up with was a way to get rid of these mosquitoes using lasers. It sounds kind of ridiculous, but we've actually built this thing in the lab, and we built it out of consumer electronics.
The important part about hackers is that they're able to think about things differently and interact with the world differently.
We eventually figured out, oh, duh, we don't just have to save lives in Africa with this, we can protect crops.
Yes, those were some clips of YouTube. Next to you, I want to introduce the man next to you is Igor Beuker. He's a Dutch trend watcher.
All right.
Are you familiar with the work of Mr. Pablo?
I looked up a few of his talks on online, and I was no, not at all. I always talk about the old world, how difficult it is for the old people to think non-linear, and I think you're an example of schematic non-linear thinking with a lot of examples that well, we saw the mosquitoes example, which was pretty impressive. And I expect a lot more.
Because today you're going to talk about a new project, printing food.
Yeah.
Why would one want to print food? Are you such a bad cook, or?
I'm a terrible cook, but I'm surrounded by some of the best cooks in the world. In our lab, we have a team working on the science of cooking.
Yeah.
And they just published a 2,400-page cookbook on the science of cooking, which is used to train chefs now. But you know, what I'm actually trying to do is solve some of the problems with how we feed people. And
can you define some of those problems?
Yeah, so for example, we have population growth problem. We have to feed about 50% more people. Another big problem is that most of the people in the world eat the same thing every day.
Yeah.
And they get very little meat, very little variety in their diet. That's not what they want to do. If they get an extra $1, they spend it on more meat and more variety, even before they buy an iPod.
Yeah.
And so we have to come up with ways to handle these compounding trends.
And one of those ways would be printing.
Well, one of the ways is to make meal production more efficient. So the way you and I eat is wildly inefficient.
It's inefficient.
Yes, because Americans, for example, throw out about 40% of the food before we even eat it.
40%?
Yeah. In Europe, it's between 30 and 40.
How much percent do you throw away before you even eat it?
Might be close.
Yeah?
Yeah. In a restaurant, they serve you more food than you're going to eat. Yeah. You're throwing out lettuce cores, FedExing lamb bones from New Zealand. We're shipping food all over the planet.
So that's inefficient. Yeah.
It is inefficient. And so what I've been describing is a way to improve on that. And so I imagine robots making food.
Robots making food.
And it would make food that's customized for you, and that solves one of the other big problems with the way we eat now, which is that in every industry in the world, we use computers to collect data, analyze the data, make better decisions about what to do. We don't have any data about anything you ever ate.
No.
Yesterday or any other day of your life.
No.
And you know, in the 80s...
In my example, that's not too bad, I think.
You think it's not too bad?
It would be disappointing.
It would be disappointing data, right? But until we have that data, we can't start to affect your diet and make it personal for you and improve it for you. Yeah. And so the idea is to apply computers. And this is a pretty normal trend.
To apply computers? that means, because printing food sounds a bit futuristic.
Yeah, right.
It sounds like something
Sure.
that the Jetsons would do.
Or it doesn't. If you think about if you see what will happen in just China, for example.
Yeah.
If you want to feed all the Chinese with rice the coming 50 years,
Yeah.
you need 3 times the continent of Africa to grow it.
Yeah.
So we it's not that futuristic. It's already happening.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we have to think back, I guess.
So I can imagine computers helping in that area. But now about printing food,
Right.
is that even possible?
Well, have you ever used a 3D printer?
Yes.
Yeah. So 3D printers have come a long way.
Yeah.
They have a long way to go. But applying the same concepts from 3D printers, we could certainly make robots that could, I mean, like you wouldn't question whether I could get a 3D printer to print chips and mayonnaise, would you?
Yeah.
I mean, how hard could that be? We could design a machine that could do that.
Yeah.
We don't need any breakthroughs in technology to do that.
No,
All we
that's
need is
already
some
possible.
Japanese VCR designers to come out of retirement and build the machine.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm at like the early 80s dot matrix stage here.
Yeah.
So in
The dot
10 or
matrix
20
printers,
years,
yeah.
and you know, I'll be, you know, right now it's smoothies and Cliff Bars.
Yeah.
10
That we
or
can
20
print.
years, I'll print French bread and steaks and strawberries, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, there's definitely room for improvement, but
Yeah.
we're at the beginning of that.
Yeah.
But the important thing is to get on that track so that we can begin to, you know, correlate your diet to health effects, adjust your diet on an individual basis. A machine that can print you a meal
Yeah.
could print you a meal that avoids your allergens and dietary restrictions, injects your pharmaceuticals, it only prints as much as you're going to eat, and then it would know exactly what you had.
And you talked already about the problem in China, for example,
Yeah.
that we need 5 more Africas to feed China in a couple of
Yeah.
years.
It's not going to happen.
No, but is this
Yeah.
a solution, printing food? Do you believe in it? Is this something?
Of course, because the thing is, we always, it's so difficult for us with our legacy thinking to think of new ideas. And we
Right.
just heard about or saw the speaker before us that we now live science fiction.
Yeah. Yeah.
Minority Report was a 2002 movie where we said it's never going to happen.
Yeah.
In 10 years' time it's happening and it will go faster and faster. And I think also what you're speaking about is it's more that we stop it. I own my own DNA profile. Why can I get my food
Yeah.
and the stuff on what I need?
Yeah.
I'm a unique person,
Yeah.
so DNA technology is already enabling
Yeah.
actually to what we do. Maybe we cannot do it by law, not yet,
Yeah.
but it's already, a lot of things are already
And is
possible.
this a solution for a first world problem?
Well, I
the
think
inefficiency over the
like
for a
anything
third
else,
world problem?
we're going to make exotic food printing robots for the first world first because it's going to be expensive.
Yeah.
We're going to charge people a lot for that food. And then we're going to get economies of scale up and reduce the cost, and we'll be able to do it for the rest of the world as
Yeah.
well, just like cell phones.
Yeah.
You know.
Is this still a fantasy in your head? Because I mean, it sounds.
Oh yeah, but
something-
I'm an inventor, and I think that everything I think of is inevitable.
Yeah.
And so I don't feel like you know it will remain a fantasy. But look, in the '80s, I would say someday you'll have a computer in your car,
Yeah.
and people thought it was totally ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I'm used to that.
Yeah.
And now that I'm saying someday computers will make your meals, it's basically the same thing.
Yeah. But you had some other technologies, other projects, like
Sure.
for example, shooting down mosquitoes with laser beams.
Yeah, so we've been working a lot on trying to solve problems with malaria,
Yeah.
figuring out ways to eradicate malaria. So that's probably our most notorious invention because it's a lot of fun to shoot mosquitoes down with mosquito laser guns.
And that's implemented in daily use already?
No, we have it working in the lab.
Yeah.
We're working on making a fieldable version of it. But you know, these invention projects that we work on are typically years from seeing commercial activity because we work on them while they're just ideas.
Yeah.
It takes a long time to develop
Yeah.
them.
So how do you feel about your TED Talk later today? Nervous? Excited?
Haven't
Just
given
another
it much
day at the
thought.
job.
Yeah, right. We'll make something up on stage.
Okay.
Thank
well,
you.
good luck with that. And thanks for being here with
Hey,
us even before your talk. Thank you so much.
Oh yeah.
Wij gaan verder met een aantal reportages van behind the scenes over startups, van alles en nog wat. En dan zie ik je straks weer terug bij het volgende deel van de talkshow. Tot zo.